Hello, everyone. Welcome to Femme Fables. Megan here.
We need to figure out this Femme Fables thing because there's nothing femme about this guy.
It's okay. You
No,
can
I'm just
embrace your
kidding.
femininity.
No, I'm just kidding.
That's a good segue into this episode. Rocky is here with me again, and we are talking about
Always here.
male vulnerability. So that's like you said, embracing your feminine side. That's
Don't y'all know that's why I said that? You know, I don't even discuss those type of things. I'm too he-man for that.
If you didn't check out the last episode, going through a breakup and heartache and all of that, we actually kind of touched a little bit on the male of female differences of, men expressing emotion. So we kind of wanted to talk about, okay, well, let's just talk about male vulnerability as a whole, because
That's not really a thing that anyone ever
no, you don't.
kinda,
Well,
we don't embrace it as men, and most people definitely don't even dare bark up that tree.
I don't think it's thing one people think about, but when you do think about it, you kind of think, oh, that makes sense. Like the men are taught to be tough. You don't cry.
We're always taught to suck it up, keep
Right.
it moving. I mean, I literally can remember growing up, and I was thinking about it the other day when we first came up with the topic. I said, man, growing up, my mom would be like, just get your ass up. And I'll be like, damn, dog. Like, I just stamped my whole side of my face up. Like, can I get a moment? Can I, and then my whole life, if I, she's like, fucking, so I think I've been in relationships where a woman's kind of like, I'm like, hey, like I've said it in one of the episodes, like sometimes, man, we just want our girl to, at the end of the day, tell us it's going to be all right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we got to be tough enough out there.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I remember being in a relationship where I was like, man, I just want you to tell me it's going to be all right. And she's like, you need to stop asking me for sympathy. And I was like, sympathy?
You stop asking me.
I was like,
fix his mic.
I was like, sympathy? How do you ask for sympathy? Like, that doesn't make, I was like, I want
Why shouldn't you ask for sympathy? You're in a partnership.
But I also asked her for empathy. Like, I don't, I don't want to touch on any of that, but I'm always saying that I don't need to, like, being a black man, I don't want to be sympathetic, just be empathetic. Understand that you can't be me and I can't be you, and that's it. So I just think that as men, not just black men, men in general, we're always taught to kind of just suck it up, keep it moving, make it happen, and that's it. And I think that we often, as men, fail in relationships because we keep that same mentality that go, 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 go. We hustle. Like me, I got 10 fucking jobs. Like, I'm gone from sun up to sundown.
Yeah.
And someone just has to be able to accept that. So it's not, I'm not saying that like literally like, hey, you better accept it or nothing. I'm just saying someone would have to be open to that or like respect that. Because a lot of men are like that. You've discussed different things with me where he's always working and he's got this really tough case and this, and that, right? So over time, I feel like it's not an excuse, but we were taught that you had to provide and you had to keep going. So, and then you seen your uncle do it or your grandfather do it, or your dad or whoever. So that's just like a man's mentality. So I think that the other side of all of that is we want to be able to do that, and then we still want one to kind of be like, hey,
Right. Yeah. Be empathetic.
Can I lay my hair right here?
Right.
So,
yeah. Can you cuddle me?
Yeah.
Here's a meme I saw. It's like how your boyfriend wants you to treat him when his guys aren't around. He's like on her lap, and she's like,
big spoon.
Yeah. I've had guys who are like, can you just cuddle me?
I mean, look. Sometimes
and I'm like, sure.
This is right here.
I'm only 5'2", so I'm not a very big spoon, but I'll still cuddle you.
Yeah. You like the little plastic spoon, the little sport. You a sport.
Yeah, I'm a sport. I've got a nice bosom to rest on, though. It's very comfortable. Anyways,
someone's kids are going to be very happy one day.
So I was watching a video, and it said, there was two guys talking about this, and it says, men protect their emotional sanctity like women protect their sexual sanctity.
It's the truth, though.
And I was
100%.
like, wow, I didn't, because like women are like, I'm not going to rush into sex. I'm going to, because I don't want to appear to be easy.
And we're
they're
going to
like,
tell you
men,
we're not rushing into love and
emotions,
all of that shit and affection
right.
and See, and I
heard that and I was like
when I was talking,
I never thought about that.
Like on the last episode, or maybe whenever, when I was talking about my boy, he was saying about the girl.
Oh, yeah.
Remember
the
I
one
told
who
you
had
earlier? Yeah,
heartbroken.
Right? Yeah, right? So with that, he was like, I told her I don't do all of that. I don't hold hands, and I find as I've gotten older, I'm not too into the
Oh, I love holding hands.
holding hands. I sweat a lot. You gonna have sweaty ass hands and
you can still like
all that.
I guess.
So I'm not really
I
into
gotcha.
the.
Okay.
And I don't think every man. I won't say that I'm not. It's just I couldn't do that with anybody.
Yeah. Okay.
So the right situation
I gotcha.
that I want to be in.
I understand that.
That's different, but so I think that's the other side of all this is I'm speaking for most of us when it's the facts.
I just thought it was
it's
a
hard
very
for us to
interesting
be vulnerable like that.
correlation because women are like, I'm gonna make him wait. I don't want to just do that and seem like I'm easy or whatever.
Run up my miles.
Yeah. And then and men on the opposite are like, I don't want to open up to you. And then I was reading the comments, and then some of these things these men were saying, it's like they'll open up, and then it gets used against them later.
That's what I was just going to say. So how
Like,
hard it is to be
bad.
able to tell someone I'm dating what my friends know, or
Yeah.
And then later on, it's like, well, this, and that, and you like. So I know that's. I'm not gonna lie. Like a relationship I was in for 10 years. That's what she used to do. Like
really?
anything that I opened up to her about childhood, about struggles I went through, growing up. She would always bring it up later, and I think I speak for most men when I say that's really kind of like a crazy thing to experience, because you're like, I'm finally opening up. Like make no mistake, when we do open up and we try to give our hearts, like that's a big accomplishment for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've literally tried to explain it to an ex, like I never did this shit. Like I would never do this for any other woman but you. And I don't think y'all realize that. A lot of times, I don't think y'all realize that. And I'm not speaking specific. But I'm just saying a lot of times we don't get the benefit of the doubt. A lot of times.
I don't know if I've ever used it against somebody, but I brought things up saying like, hey, do you think that because this happened to you, this is causing a domino effect behavior? Like if you grew up in a very traumatizing childhood, that's going to probably impact your adulthood, and have you addressed it, and maybe you need to go talk. And that, I'm not attacking, I got shit in my childhood. Why do you think I'm in fucking counseling? Like, you know what I mean? Things that now impact me as an adult. But I know, I was watching a psychotherapist who said women are more inclined to go to counseling than men, statistically. Just numbers show men, and I've met men who are like, I'm not going to go talk to somebody. Like, I'm a man. Men don't talk about their feelings.
I used to be like that until I was about 33.
What happened? What changed? What made you think like, all right, being vulnerable is actually a strength, not a weakness?
Because I wasn't getting anywhere, like handling things the way I was handling them, or like saying, oh, it's because I went through this growing up, or because my mom did this, or because my dad wasn't present, or that's bullshit.
It does impact you to some degree.
No. When I say that's bullshit, like I couldn't as a man just stand on that. Like, and
that
let
can't
that
be
be
your
the
role.
reason why that couldn't be my
My
MO.
dad wasn't around, so that's what.
So I wanted to stop feeling like that. Mm-hmm. And again, sometimes I'm still like, well, I can't help it. I grew up like that, But I don't like use it as a crutch, and I don't like stand on it as much as I once did. And that was because I always like say that my therapist was kind of like Tony Soprano's therapist on the show, Jennifer Melfi. It was kind of that dynamic, and I just ended up being like, I'm done with this shit. Like I got a life coach, and it's been more beneficial for me. It may not be for. I always tell people, you do what's best for you. Mm-hmm. You kind of look at a couple options, try a couple things out, consult, and see what you like. Ultimately, it has to fit into your life as a whole.
You have to find somebody. I say counselor because I don't go to like a psychiatrist or a psychotherapist. She's literally just like a family counselor or whatever, and we just talk through things and and she's not like, oh, well, tell me, when the first time no, she's done that. Like, when's the first time you felt this way or something? But anyways, but she's not psychoanalyzing me, and she's not prescribing me medication. We're just trying to talk through
certain things.
Yeah, and why, I may go down the rabbit hole of something, but we're talking about male vulnerability, so I don't want to focus on you and not on me. But I was reading the comments, and one of the guys said the first time he broke down in front of his girlfriend crying, she basically was like, get up, like, you know, and it's funny because as women are tend to be more emotional, right? That's just a given, and we want to talk about our feelings and communicate. And men don't have that vulnerability as much.
No.
But when so it's like we want them to, but when they do, then we're kind of like, oh, you're kind of weak. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't win.
You can't. And
I
that's
don't
the
think
thing.
it's weakness. Like if somebody opens up to me, or I've seen men cry in front of me, and you know, I never thought like, oh, he's a weak man. Like that's strength. Like to be able to be like, I'm just fucking defeated right now, and I'm gonna cry about it.
We don't get that option though.
Yeah.
I mean, I
don't
know that.
Yeah.
You know,
But
whenever I've been vulnerable like that, they weren't like, oh wow, shit, like this tough ass nigga's like fucking. You know, he's no.
What was the reaction?
There wasn't one really. Like so.
I wonder if they just didn't know what to do
The only
because we
thing-
don't see men like that very often, so we're kind of like paralyzed. Like
Honestly, I'll tell you, it's
like,
been
I
years.
just need to catch you.
I mean, that's what I needed at that time. I kind of switched up. Now I don't. The only crying I've done in the last 5-10 years of my life has been about fucking people who, especially in the last 2 years. I definitely ain't crying.
People you've lost, yeah.
I ain't definitely ain't been crying over no women in the last 2-3 years. Okay, I've cried
But you
over
haven't.
Freddie.
That's okay. If you cry over women, it's okay.
Yeah, I cry over Freddie and things like that. But I ain't. That means more to me than these.
Well,
hoes.
yeah, loss of life is
So no, I just think that again, it's something I shy away from, and most of us do, just because you get the reaction you get, and that's why I stay away from it. I'm like, just go for a walk real quick. I'm not gonna show no kind of emotion. She's to buy me a new mic, yeah.
I do. He needs a cordless mic because he waves his hands around a lot. You're like me.
I'm talking about.
But I go to the side. One of the comments too was the guy's like, I got a birthday card for my girlfriend, and I wrote a very loving message telling her how I felt. The next time we hung out with her and her friends, they were quoting from it. She showed them the card, and they were like making fun of him for being like vulnerable and mushy. And I was like, damn, that's like,
yeah, I think
that's some shit. I would
my
never
ex
do
will
that to
leave them
someone.
up like on the bar at the house, and I'm like, hey, like, yeah, you got your sisters and stuff like that, but like, you're gonna leave my card, like personal card up there? She's like, oh yes, and my sister and everybody should see it. And I'm like, nah, bro.
Well, see, that I guess you'd be like, look at this
they
sweet
probably were over
card.
there clowning me like this big old grizzly bear motherfucker over here writing all this sweet shit. So,
Well, that's part of being vulnerable. Like, you were vulnerable, and that's okay. But
yeah.
you even still, your defense mechanism was, I don't want people to see that because they're going to be making fun of me.
Yeah.
Because
in the past,
people
that's
aren't
happened.
used to, right,
Yeah. Right.
you know, seeing men in that light or whatever. But yeah, I thought it's just an interesting topic because, men get dogged on a lot. I've dogged on some men in my day.
You think? Wow, fellas, write this down. A female just admitted that they be trying to dog on us.
Oh,
bro.
yeah. Well, I'm sorry, but we won't get into like a male versus female, but women have had it tougher, okay? Anyways.
We need a battle of the sexes part 2.
Okay.
That's all I gotta say. I'm gonna write.
People aren't
the
trying to
fucking
control your body. Anyways, we're not getting into that. We're moving on because we're not going to fight.
The closest situation I've been to a woman having pregnancies are
Anyways,
having my gallbladder ripped out. Okay, so I understand y'all a little bit, ladies. I'll keep my mouth shut with that.
Yes. So I just meant the whole. Wow, you're in a relationship with somebody, a man, right? Because I'm speaking from a straight female perspective. And I'm like, God, I wish he'd open up to me. But I don't sit there and think about like, well, probably this person's whole life they were told, you suck it up. And I, especially like, for those who don't know, half of my family is Hispanic. In the Hispanic culture, especially, men are macho and they, you don't go talk to anybody about your feelings. You don't express your feelings. Like,
definitely
so I
in the
only
black
can speak
community, I
seeing
say it
that,
all
and
the
I'm
time
assuming
too.
it's this.
No, I'm just saying.
similar,
I tell people it's like that in the black community.
Yeah.
It's like you're not supposed to speak on that, and that's why when a lot of this shit was going on a couple of years ago, I posted that a couple times. Like, let's talk about mental health in the black community because it's something that's frowned upon as you're weak.
Yeah.
I remember, like my Jewish girlfriend back in the day being like, you probably some of the things I've seen, she was around my mom and stuff like that. She's like, you should, go to therapy. I'm like, therapy? What the fuck are you talking about? And I remember telling my mom, and she's like, "That's fucking weak," you know. And it's like, you know, talk to my uncle, that's weak, you know. So it's like, it's this whole stigma around it. Like, you got to be macho, and
Yeah.
you know, like I said, I always was just told, like, get your ass up and keep moving. Like, don't cry.
Yeah.
You know.
So, what advice would you give to men who are like, wow, like I find myself struggling with being vulnerable and opening up? You and this mic, man. You
Fuck
back it along.
this shit. Sorry. What happened?
What happened? Okay, I have two things because the lady who's a psychotherapist who counsels men, she said that men actually open up to their other male friends a lot about stuff.
We do
when they feel comfortable.
But because your boy isn't gonna fucking clown you about it later.
So do you guys talk about like deep things together?
Yeah, all the
Really?
time. Listen, I could show you when we get off of here. I got call logs where me and Antonio talk 3-4 hours.
What?
Yeah, my little cousin in Illinois. Sometimes at night, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. My boy Jordan, same thing. I got a couple buddies I talk to. I mean, most of my buddy Shane, most of us, yeah.
Yeah, when I heard that, I was just like, and I assumed that, but I was, I didn't know. I was
could
like,
speak
oh,
for
is it
me.
locker room talk or is it like deep?
I could speak for me. Like, me and most of my friends, I mean, my boy was just discussing something with me earlier, like I said. Me and most of my friends, we talk to each other and kind of, because me personally, and I'm not trying to sound like a pig or anything, at this stage of the game, unless it's someone like you, who's my female friend that I know that wouldn't do me dirty, I just don't feel right telling people certain shit.
So,
like, as far as females, like, I'm dead serious. I've even had female friends that I've been friends with in the past tell shit that I've told them, or like tell the girl I'm dating now something about before. Just so that's why I stopped telling certain like female friends, like, nah, you won't know anything about me.
yeah.
And I just kind of keep it 100 with my boys, and I talk to my little sister because she's like talking to me.
So I find that interesting because we talk about not wanting to open up, but it seems like as men you can open up to one another in some way. But is it just because you have to feel like you're in a safe place with that person?
Because you don't want to be judged. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like in the past when I have tried to open up, in one situation in particular, like, showed up at my house, right? In that situation, it was the same as her saying, "Oh well, this isn't time for another Black History lesson." Like,
Yeah.
so that's what the energy always was like. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to blame that situation, but it's just hard for me to sit there and be like, "Hey, I went through this," or "I feel like this." To this day, I don't really. You won't know what I'm feeling because I'm not gonna say shit. Like when I was fucking with.
Okay, but you're supposed to be being vulnerable.
I'm being vulnerable right now. I'm
Yeah.
telling y'all
Yeah.
why we do it, the rhyme or reason,
Yeah.
and that as women, like, be there for your man. Like, if he wants to talk to you, or you want to feel close to him, like how he talks to his buddies, then be more vulnerable yourself. Like, don't just think that just because we're tough fucking people that we don't have feelings too. That's that stigma. Y'all think that, oh, these are just tough motherfuckers and they can do dirt, and how could you have feelings when you cheated on me or whatever? And it's like,
I think men are more sensitive than women, honestly. They just don't express it. I'm sure he knows I'm right. I think, like you said.
Why? Because we're softer when we're sick and we're whiny butts.
Oh God, you
when
are
we're sick.
whiny when you guys
Oh,
are
I
sick.
know I'm whiny.
That's-
Give me my
yeah,
blankie.
like barely sniffling,
I feel
and it's
like
the end of the
Linus.
world.
Go give me my blankie.
No, I don't. No, I think men are just as, if not more sensitive. They just can't show it as much.
Well,
Like you said,
the other side of that is when you haven't been able to be, of course you're going to be more fucking
Right.
sensitive because you've been talking to yourself. I mean, I'll be in my car talking and shit like, like upset. Like, it's been plenty of times I've been mad about something. I fucking get the waterworks in the car by myself. So it's like, I'm telling you, I'd rather do that and no one ever fucking know besides my car, like, and move on.
Yeah.
Then
Well,
go to somebody and be like, hey, honey, like, what you said last night, that kind of, fuck that. No. Until I find that person that's going to just let me say whatever I need to say and not. My problems have been every time I try to get, like, people want to talk over you and they're like, yeah, I know, and I hate that kind of shit. Like, just give me 3, 4, 5 minutes, let me just speak. Then you can speak.
Then you can, just let me get
and
it out.
that never happens.
I gotcha.
That's why I'm
Nice.
glad we don't sit here and just fucking talk over each other. Yeah, but here, motherfucker. Yeah, so the topic is, blah 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 blah. Like, I listen to people, so I have an issue when people don't listen to me.
Well, there's a difference between listening to respond and listening to listen, right?
Yeah, there is, but I think that not everyone, but a lot of people are caught up in listening to respond.
Oh, 100%.
And they're responding. Have you ever had the people that are responding as you're talking, and they're kind of like talking over you?
Yeah.
That makes you shut down as a person, though, right?
Just like the, oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
No, bitch, you don't know.
Thank
I
you.
haven't finished my sentence.
I was seeing a girl just like that, and every time it was, I know, and yeah, and I was just like, fuck it. I don't want to talk about my childhood. I don't want to talk about if I'm upset
down.
today.
Yeah.
I'm shutting the fuck down. And then when I say that, every time the girl's like, oh, well, if you just want to be like that, and I'm like, dude,
Yeah,
I just tried, like, if I can't stress this enough, I would need like 20 hours of content, like, just let us fucking get it out.
Yeah.
As soon as you start saying, oh, I know, or, you know, like, my ex had a problem with always talking me over, saying, no, Rocky, no, and then I'll be like, okay.
And then shut down.
And then when I shut the fuck up, and it's like months, and I'm like in the house, I'm petty. I was walking around my house with Beats. I was walking around my house with Beats headphones and sunglasses on all night, every night after the gym, watching TV. Empire was on back then. I used to be sitting there, sunglasses, Beats on. So like,
you are petty.
I'm petty, but it's also because I got a good fucking heart, and I'm not trying to be giving my heart to these lame ass hawks no more. Like, God, please don't do it to me ever again. You know. But seriously, guys, if you can't talk to your woman, talk to your boys, man. If you can't talk to your boys, then you can't talk to nobody, man. Go to church, otherwise. You can't talk to your
Go to
boys.
church.
I don't know really what to fucking tell you. If you don't have any boys, I don't really draft new friends, but holler at me. You know, I've known most of my friends my whole life, but I may take on a couple of you motherfuckers, you know, because I know that there's some guys out here that, you know, you can't even open up to your wife. I dated a Karen, bro. So if you're married to a Karen, just own up to that shit and don't feel some kind of way because Karen makes you feel like you shouldn't be able to be vulnerable or have any type of emotions, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it should go both ways, right? You should be, as a female, you should want to be able to open up and not, oh, you're always attacking me.
Yeah,
Vice versa,
it should, you know, relationships are give and take.
Yeah.
And everyone's got to get so far away from taking and start giving equally. Everyone just wants to take. I want this in a relationship, and he should do this, and he should drive this car, and he should have this fucking job, and fuck all that. Love who you love, and just let that be. Fuck all that other shit. That white picket fence bullshit went out with the fucking Macarena, you know?
All right, well, we'd love to hear your comments. So comment if you're watching on YouTube or email us if you're listening on the
Ladies,
podcast.
remember, gentle. Let him talk. You heard it here first. I checked out on a bitch for 2 years straight. In the same house. On God.
All right, straight from one of the sources' mouth. So I can't speak. I just, you know, I've probably been guilty of talking over somebody or thinking I know what they're going to say and all that stuff. So that's a good mental takeaway to make sure I don't do that. Especially if a guy is opening up, because like you said, that's not as
it's just
easy.
just very tough. And like on a more serious note, I'm being for real. Like, you know, give guys you may have some interest in, give them a chance to have that side of them, because it's really a good thing when you tap into that side of us. Like, you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
That's how good fathers are created. That type of shit. Like, because if you don't find that love, then you end up finding that love in your kids. So I believe that.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on a podcast platform, thank you so much. Like, subscribe, comment, interact with us.
Come on, y'all. Let's do this.
It helps us grow. We're trying to reach 500 subscribers in this year, so we're halfway there. So appreciate any people that subscribe.
Share it at your office. You know, even share it at church, the synagogue. You know, rabbi, pastor, Franklin, whoever. Share it. Your friends. If you got friends that are having issues, tell them to tap in.
Yeah, 100%.
Your mom and dad going through a divorce, tell them tap in. Doesn't matter.
Ooh, I need to add that to the list of topics. So, all right. Well, again, thank you everyone so much, and we're gonna have a change of scenery. This is the last episode in this house. I record from my house. I'm sure you guys have noticed that by now. You can't see all the disarray around me, but there is. But yes, we'll be in a new location, either at Rock's Gym or at my new house in Tampa. We're trying to figure that out, but we will definitely be back. Thank you again, and we will see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.